wonderful. I didn't want to start before we had everybody on, but it is 7 o'clock and we will start the meeting. Please stand for the pledge since Mr. Kudlak has our flag. Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
and to
republic
the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. This is a meeting of the Board of Education, and it is in public for the purpose of conducting the school's district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There are times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in agenda items 4 and 8. Again, for those of you attending as attendees and not panelists, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. You can submit questions through there, and then when we get to those appropriate sections in the agenda, we will answer your questions. So we will go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we will start with the Van Buren Public Schools Education Foundation grant presentation. And I know we have Connie here from the foundation, and we had Tab, and it looks like maybe she'll jump back in before we're done. But for now, we'll start with you, Connie. Welcome. Oh, we can't hear you though, or I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear Connie?
No. Tabitha's back too.
All right, it looks like I got promoted back to a panelist.
Oh,
I was
okay.
switched to an attendee and I got the promotion.
I can't hear Connie, unfortunately. So maybe she can mess with that a little bit. Maybe you want to start, Tab, since your audio
Sure.
seems to be working.
You can hear me now.
Oh, now we can, Connie.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. But we'll let Tab talk. Go ahead, Tab.
All right. Now that we've all won Zoom bingo, because we got to mark off plenty of squares, I just want to take the opportunity to present to the board and to the community that's listening that the Education Foundation is really proud to have been able to present a record amount and approve a record amount of record, both in submissions and totals of grants this year. And that's due to the community's great support of our foundation. And so this year we were able to approve 81% of our grants. And so that's 78 total grants that went to the classrooms. And that's a total of $35,000 that we were able to give this year. And that's a record number in a year. And so we were able to approve those grants again because of the support from the community, the buy-in from the schools, and their help in getting us promoting what we do and getting people out to our events to help. And so with that, again, we just want to thank the community. We want to thank the schools for all their help in supporting our mission. And we're really excited to be able to get to get this stuff into the schools. We had some really fun, exciting grants this year, so that I think the classrooms are really going to be enhanced. And one grant that we weren't able to necessarily support, but work with the Civic Fund, is helping get washers and dryers into Owen to support the community closet. And while we couldn't do that directly, we're going to help them get that funding, which is really exciting. And then we have a bunch of makerspace, a lot of seating and alternative signage, and just things that are really a lot of book collections, new books to be able to introduce to the classroom, to be able to diversify what students have to select from. And so again, it's just a thank you, and we're really proud of all the work that the foundation has been able to put in and been able to support the school. And want to thank the teachers who submitted for these grants to take the extra step to enhance their classrooms or their schools.
That's really awesome. Thank you guys so much. I know from my time on the foundation, Kelly's been on the foundation, and the work that you guys do is amazing. It's such a cool group of people, from business leaders in the community, parents, teachers, and everybody comes together with this goal of, supplementing the classrooms with items that they otherwise wouldn't have. And really just enhancing the learning environment for all of our students. And so thank you guys for all the time and effort that you put in. And I see Katarina's on, she's part of that. So thank you to her. And Mr. T, thank you to you. I know you're part of that group. So thank you everybody who is part of the foundation and supporting the work they do.
Amazing group, and I think I've said that a few times, but it is, I'm always amazed by when I go to the events, the turnout, the support, the generosity, and the community is amazing for this. To give $35,000 away in a year is really kind of crazy. There were amazing grants. There were some really creative ones that were put out there, and I think that the teachers and everybody are really responding to a wonderful foundation.
Yep. Well, hopefully we'll be able to have a jingle bell run. I guess we'll see. But we'll be looking forward to hearing from you guys about your next event, and we will all be out to support you when that happens.
Yep. Okay, we look
Thank you,
forward to
everyone.
seeing you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you.
Connie.
You guys are welcome to stay, but you don't need to. All right, moving along. Just a note, we will once again be voting by roll call due to our virtual setting. So I will turn it over to Darlene for roll call.
Oh, Mrs. Featheringill,
Here.
Ms. Garrett here, Mr. Hawkins? I didn't hear, Mr. Hawkins? I think he froze up. Mr. Johnston? And here, Keithy, Ms. Owen?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Ms. Pierce?
Here.
Ms. Pinter? Here.
Hey, Cal, straighten out. Can you hear us, Cal?
Pardon me?
Okay.
You talking to Calvin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Is that everyone? Just making sure. All right. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make
I
a
make-
motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support?
Motion by Ms. Featheringill, support by Ms. Owen. Roll call.
Ms. Featheringill?
Yes.
Ms. Garrett, yes. Mr. Hawkins? Still no sound. Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
And Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
Questions and comments from the audience on agenda items? I don't see any questions right now. And moving along to the consent agenda, which consists of the approval of the minutes from the April 13th, 2020 regular meeting. Under business office matters, checks payable.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support?
Motion by Mr. Johnston, support by Ms. Owen, I believe that was.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Garrick.
Ms. Featheringill?
I vote yes.
Ms. Garrett, yes. Mr. Hawkins? Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
All right, under separate check approval, we have a check that was
Before you
pulled.
do that, Amy,
Oh,
before you
yeah.
do that, I think, Calvin, I think we heard your static. So whenever you were rattling a wire down there, I think that's the shortage. You have something that's not quite connected. So whatever you were kind of rattling down there, we kind of heard some static out of you.
We see your lips moving.
Go ahead, Amy. I just wanted to.
Okay, no
Working.
problem. Under separate check approval, we have a check that was pulled on the April 13th meeting, check number 150259 to Johnson Enterprises for $270. So
I'll make a motion to approve that check. Check number 150259 to Johnston Enterprises in the
Okay.
amount of $270.
Support.
All right, motion by Ms. Featheringill, support by, was that you, Darlene?
Yes.
Okay, support by Ms. Garrick and Ms. Garrick.
Ms. Featheringill?
Yes.
Ms. Garrett, yes. Mr. Hawkins? Mr. Johnston?
I abstain.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
And Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
Okay. I think maybe Calvin's going to try again to log back in. Under administrative items, the 2021 bus purchase proposal recommendation. Sarah, is that you?
That is me.
Okay.
All right, so we have been strategically updating our bus inventory to keep them in good shape and operational. We have had several older buses that have gone into an unusable status this year, just due to various issues with our aging buses and very rough road conditions. So the recommendation that we're putting to you will keep our regular buses out on the road more reliably and allow us to get rid of the unusable buses and then rotate some of the older remaining buses into use as spares for field trips or in the event we do have a breakdown or an accident or something like that. So we analyzed our current inventory and the inventory that was available to us for purchase, and we determined that these 4 buses were our best options and the minimum that we'll need for next school year. We're still looking at bus routes for next year, and then we'll have to see where our student count ends up next year as well. So hopefully we won't need to come back and request approval for more, but this was just the minimum that we needed. And I discussed it with Elizabeth, and she said the 3 general ed buses that we're looking at are 2008 models, the ones that we want to replace, are 2008 models that have just been beat down over the years and their bodies are rusted through. So that leaves room for exhaust fumes to get inside the passenger area, which results in an automatic red tag, which means they can't be used at all. They also have some pretty bad rust. She sent me some pictures of them and it looked pretty bad on the cross members and mounts, which makes them structurally unsound in case they ever were in an accident. And then the lift bus that we're looking at, the one that we need to replace, has had some electrical issues with the lift. So they haven't even been able to use the particular one we need to replace this year at all.
Okay. So we did just ask some questions about whether or not, a couple things, whether or not this could be put off at all right now. And truly it can't, because it really can't, because with the timing and these buses that are probably going to get red tagged or really are in red tag condition, meaning they can't be used, if we don't replace them now, we're not going to have sufficient buses in the fall for our routes, field trips, sports, all of those things. So something will suffer. So this really is the time to buy them. So
And as Sarah mentioned, 3 of these are, they're from the 2007 bond, so they're last of the bond buses as well. So we're kind of replacing those as we go, but we took their 2008 models, we took possession of in 2007. So they've been 13 years in the road, so.
right.
Which on our roads, that's really a lot.
Yeah. And I think when Pete and I were talking, he was saying, you know, the expected lifespan of one of these buses is maybe 8 years. And that would maybe be on not roads like we have in dirt roads. And so we've been using some of these for 12 years, which has gone way beyond what their life expectancy is, and on our not so great roads. So
And that's a credit to our mechanics who really do.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. We have to have a big thank you for our mechanics, because otherwise they wouldn't have lasted that long. So that is
they do a great job of taking care of our fleet.
Yeah.
Which also, that tells us that this is a true recommendation of our true need, because they really take care of the buses and make sure that they're out there running good for us.
That's great.
We do have a question too up here about regarding social distancing in buses. So we don't know about what the social distancing rules will be in the fall. We're assuming we'll be back in with kids and be able to bus kids. There would be no way to social distance on a bus. We'd have to sit one kid every 3 seats or whatever, so that we wouldn't be able to, if the 6-foot rule was still in effect in the fall, we wouldn't be able to bus kids. And all those directions will come from the state, but
Right,
that wouldn't be an option.
right. It would be very hard to have school at all with the 6-foot rule. So we'll see what happens. But any other questions from attendees or panelists on this issue? Okay, then we would be looking for a motion.
I move that the Van Buren Public Schools Board of Education approve the 2020-2021 purchase of buses for a total of $432,563 as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Featheringgill, support by Ms. Pinter. Ms. Garrick, roll call.
Ms. Featheringgill,
Yes.
Ms. Garrick, yes. Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Ms. Pierce,
Yes,
Ms. Pinter.
Yes.
motion carries. Moving on to the fall semester 2020-2021 school of choice recommendation.
Good evening.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello. Just a quick side note, my daughter, my 9-year-old's sitting right next to me, and when she heard the amount, she goes, "Wow." Expensive. School buses are
That's
very
what I
expensive.
say.
Said
My kind
Mrs.
of
Pinner,
kid.
Mrs. Pinner and my daughter would get along really well.
That's right.
Attached to your packets, the School of Choice Declaration from the first semester for the 2020-21 school year. Our district participates in the program under Section 105 and 105C. As in previous years, we will offer an unlimited number of openings. Is there any questions?
No, we're going to do the same vetting as we always have. Jeff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
We
Sure.
do have,
Go ahead.
you can, Jeff, go ahead.
Sorry, I thought you asked me to explain it, Mr. Kulak. Pretty much, our policy, district policy, is that any student with a suspension for the previous 2 years is not allowed in under our school of choice program. Basically, what we do is school of choice applications are completed and turned in to the buildings. Building administrators do a vetting process. Generally, they'll have discipline reports from other districts. If that doesn't happen, or if there's some other type of question, there may have to be some other research that happens. So those do not get signed off until they get approved by the principals without doing due diligence. And then they come to me as well, and then I give it my stamp of approval, unless there's some questions or some red flags that I have some concerns about as well.
And Jeff, this is a kind of an open enrollment, so people can apply anytime to come in as a school of choice?
So basically, right now, the date is from May. Let me just make sure I pull up the correct dates. Sorry, I'm used to having a couple screens. That will be posted on May 11th. It will be the first day. And then as of right now,
Through September 3rd.
September 3rd. Thank you. This says September 1st. In the last 2 years, I believe, we've also applied for a waiver that would extend that school of choice application window. Generally, that would take us to the first count day, which is generally that first Wednesday in October. Right now, we have to wait until we do hear from the state, but generally, they've approved it without any issues or problems. But right now, it's through September 1st.
Okay. And if a student is accepted during that time, that time frame that we have, and then for some reason we don't go back in the fall, or we're still virtual, they still become part of our district virtually until we can go back in
Absolutely.
person. Okay.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we would go through our same vetting process. Maybe a little bit more challenging just because some schools aren't physically open like they are right now, but we would still go through the same vetting process. We actually have some students who have enrolled since our closure that live in the district, and we just treat them as a normal student. We would just treat them as any other student in our district.
Jeff, can I ask you a question? Can you hear me?
bet. I can.
Okay, thanks. So, the form hasn't changed from last year, right? Same form, basically?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if, is there a limit? Like, we don't know what the enrollment's going to be, okay? So where's the cutoff at? Or do we just make some assumptions? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we have more kids show up, does that mean we take less of these students? Or if we have less show up, do we take more? I mean, is there a cutoff on how many you want to take, period? Or do we try to fill the classrooms?
The only issue that we ever would really have is at the elementary buildings, where if we have staffing and there's fourth grade where a fourth grade student, the fourth grade at Rawsonville might be full, and we might move those. A student might not be able to have that choice. Then we'd have to move them over to that building.
Right, because if you commit to them by September 1st, and then other kids show up that are in the district, what do you do?
So once we accept them, they're our kids. So
Yep.
We're going for unlimited like we have probably for every year. I'm guessing every year since I've been here, we've been unlimited. So we take anybody who qualifies, we take them. So if they first, like as Jeff said, if their first choice was to go to Rawsonville, we'd say, well, Rawsonville's full, but we have a spot at Edgemont for you.
Okay.
Owen or up, we only have one school. They would be going to the school as long as they passed, as long as they hadn't been suspended in the last couple of years and they meet our criteria, then they would be accepted and they would go.
But
Have we
how is
ever-
that fair? How
ahead.
is that fair to people who live in the district who want their kid to go to a certain school but can't?
So this board has voted on that before. We could vote on, we could bring that again at some point, but in district school of choice, we voted no on since I've been here at least twice. So we could bring that again if if somebody wants to put it on the agenda, contact Amy or myself and we can have that agenda. But what it is outside people who are coming from the outside and they're applying for school of choice. If they put down their first, second choice. And if we can give them that, we can. If not, we give them their second choice. If not, we tell them we don't have either of those. Here's your third choice. We're placing you here. Right.
Yep. Most people, I think, for especially kids who need transportation, those families are going to want their kids to go to the school where they can get transportation. Because if they were to choose a school, I'm talking about in district, not school of choice kids. Because if your kid is in district and you want them to go to another school, you've got to be able to get them there. If that's
Right.
not.
So people ask that. People ask that, can they, even if they drive, so this is for a non-school of choice, this is for our residents.
Right.
They want to drive their kid to Rawsonville, can I go to Rawsonville? And we say no.
No.
You have to go to your assigned elementary school.
Right. I think the idea that it's unlimited right now is because we have been able to find a place for every kid who wants to come to our district. In the past, if we started to run into a problem where we didn't have spots for kids, we would have to take away that word unlimited and we would have to have a different process for how many kids we would allow. But it seems like now we can accommodate the number who want to come to our district. So
Correct. And if what we would do is we'd put a number for each grade level, you would just list the number and then you'd have a lottery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
All right.
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the school of choice program participation under section 105 and 105C for the first semester of the 2020 and 2021 school year as presented.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Johnston, support by Ms. Owen. Ms. Garrick.
Ms. Featheringale.
I vote yes.
Ms. Garrick, yes. Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Johnston,
Yes.
Ms. Owen,
Yes.
Ms. Pierce,
Yes.
Ms. Pinter.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Item C, Board of Education Policy Number 5460, change recommendation. Is that you, Pete?
That's me. Yep.
Okay.
So as we are rolling out our continuity of learning plan, we started looking at some of the provisions in there, making sure they matched our policies. So we found, and then we could find more, so there could be more that are coming. This is the only one we found so far. But policy 5460, we have a conflict with our continuity of learning plan. So under our continuity of learning plan at the high school, we have an opportunity where the kids can get credit or they can get a grade. So some kids are just going to get a credit, no credit. Some kids are going to get the credit and they're doing really well. They want to receive the grade, their GPA. So, so to do that, so the way the classes are organized is they can earn a credit basically by getting above a 60% on the coursework, just like they would normally. Above a 60% gets you credit, or they can get a 60% on the final or higher. Right, so it can be one or the other. So I looked through the power policies just to see if there was any conflict with that, and I found one. So in policy 5460, at the last sentence of the 5th paragraph currently states, for subject areas and courses in which a final examination is used as the assessment for successful attainment of subject area content, a C+ or better is required. So that's basically what we're saying. So if that final exam is going to say you understand the material, you've met the course, you've attained the understanding in that course. So because that says C+ or better, we need to change that. So we're going to change it. So after the idea of this is when our continuity of learning plan is no longer in effect, it's going to go back to the other language. Right? So this one says, while our COVID-19 continuity of learning plan is in effect, the subject area and courses in which the final examination is used as the assessment for successful attainment in subject area content, a grade of D- or better is required. And then we'll have to add something that says that it'll revert back to the other when it's not in. Or it could just be assumed, I guess, with that.
So that D- is equivalent to 60.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
About that?
No. All right. Motion?
Hold on one second, Amy.
Yeah.
I started talking and I realized I didn't have my microphone on.
No problem.
Is this true for all students or just like middle school and high school?
Just high school.
Oh, it's just high school?
Actually, it's because it's a credit thing. I guess it's going to be high school. Right,
Just
Jeff?
high-
It wouldn't be a necessarily, even though they get credits at the middle school. We're talking about high school credit.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Now, will we change it back when all this is over?
It's going to automatically default back. We can look back at that policy if we want a different number. That C+ mirrors our test out policy currently. So if you don't want to take the class at all and you just want to test out of some class, you would take the final and have to get a C+ or better on it before you did it. So this mirrors that language. That's why I assume they're both the same. We're not really doing a test out. We're just changing how you could attain the grade.
And
So-
because the language actually says, while our COVID-19 continuity of learning plan is in effect, then as soon as we're not using that any longer, it would automatically revert back to the other. So
Yeah, so we don't want to replace it. We want to just have it side by side.
we could change the policy back again, but it will automatically revert back to, unless we make a different change to that policy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, that's good. Any other questions on this?
Nope.
Okay.
So do you want a motion?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I move that the Van Buren Public Schools Board of Education make the changes to board policy number 5460 as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Featheringgill, support by Mr. Johnston. Ms. Garrick, roll call.
Ms. Featheringgill.
I vote yes.
Ms. Garrick, yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
Good. Motion carries. On to D, which is enhancement education millage approval.
It's me too. So last board meeting, I presented on the enhancement millage, the Wayne enhancement millage, and how that affected us. The enhancement millage, the county needs resolutions from boards that represent 50% of the student population or more to be able to put the ballot on the, or put the language on the ballot. So this is our opportunity to have our resolution approved, so then we can be part of that 50% or more that they need to put it on the ballot. So we need a resolution to put it on their ballot.
Any questions about that didn't get answered last week? Or last meeting, I should say. Okay. Motion?
I move that the go ahead.
Go ahead, Simone.
I move that the Van Buren Public School Board of Education approve the Van Buren Public School District is in favor of adding the enhancement education millage on the next election ballot as presented.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Pinter, support by Ms. Owen, I believe. Ms. Garrick, roll call.
Got to unmute. Ms. Featheringgill.
I vote yes.
Ms. Garrick, yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to questions and comments from the audience on non-agenda items. I don't see any right now, but if there are any, we'll jump on those as they come in. Cabinet member reports. Mr. Moore, anything else to add this evening?
Real quick, just about our Chromebook distribution. Sean Garland, our IT director, has been doing a really nice job with this piece. To date, we've had over 550 Chromebooks that have been distributed to families. Today was our third pickup and probably the best weather of the three. Was at Rawsonville. Last week was at Tyler, and then previous to that was at Owen. Today was about 60 Chromebook distributions. At this point, the Chromebook request, if anyone's still in need of a Chromebook, they can go to our front page of our district or any of the schools' website and just click the link for the Chromebook request. At this point, because we're getting a little bit of a smaller amount, they're going to just schedule pickups on an as-needed basis, I believe Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at the high school.
Jeff, will the return dates be when school starts again, or will they bring them back before summer?
Hopefully, ideally, even though I haven't really got there a whole lot with conversation with Sean on that piece, but that would be the intention, is to get them back before school starts, because those have to be redistributed to next year's students.
Okay.
And they have to go back to their regular school too, their home school where they got them from too. So we have to make sure to collect them all in one place and clean them up and send them back to where they need to go.
An undertaking.
And I'm sure there's going to be some kind of, when we get them back, we're going to have to clean them, disinfect them, and all that stuff, right? Okay.
And the same will be for our graduating seniors who aren't coming back next year, who will need to turn theirs in at some point. So there'll be a lot going on for Sean and his team. So thank you guys. Anything else, Jeff? Is that it? Okay.
That's it.
Karen, anything from you, ma'am?
Just one quick thing. Emails went out today for
students who take medication in school. We are going to be returning medication starting May 18th to families. So we wanted to be past that date that the governor is now saying at the moment that we can go out. So if you have a student who takes medication, you should be getting an email with the dates and the times and all that good stuff. So be on the lookout for that.
Great, thank you. Mr. McCune.
Pete and Sarah and I today had a meeting with our with SETSEG and Trustmark. Those are our carriers for our health insurance, for our insurance, just to give us, we do these every quarter just to see how we're doing, to make sure things are in line. Things seem to be looking very well for the district. And we also discuss how this is going to look come open enrollment and come for next year. We talked about enhancing potentially some of the products and offering multiple plans to the teacher group. Also in my world right now, I've been meeting one-on-one with principals to start to discuss staffing, knowing because this is a bit more difficult than normal, just looking at where we're at. I pulled spring count numbers to see how many kids we had as a spring count, and I'm basing the decisions upon that right now. And just start those conversations with the principals, so that if we do make cuts or whatnot, I would rather us do it as soon as we possibly know versus waiting.
Great. Well, I know that's going to be a lot of work, and trying to determine our numbers is going to be rather difficult. So thank you for all you're doing with that, and to our administrators for working on those staffing issues. Ms. Cortese, anything else this evening?
I wanted to say how wonderful our food service supervisor, Karen Waller, has been during all of this. She's been really working hard on getting our lunches distributed to the kids since the shutdown. It's been really tough on her to find certain items in stock, so she's had to go back and rework a lot of menus because it just depends on what she can find for that week. And then our numbers are so hard to determine what we might get that particular week. For example, last Thursday, we were planning for about 900, and we ended up at 1,016 kids that we served on Thursday. Wow. So that's really hard for her to plan for and make sure she has enough food that we're going to be able to distribute. So just to equate that out, Thursdays we hand out 3 days worth of meals of 2 days each. So that means we assembled and distributed 6,096 meals on Thursday.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Really amazing. I mean,
yeah,
such a huge service for the kids in our community, because again, those go to anyone 0 to 18 in our community. They don't have to be a student in our district. So the food service people, I know you're there every time, Sarah. I know Pete's there every time, and tons of volunteer staff members of ours that are manning that, making the meals and or assembling the meals and passing them out for hours, regardless of our lovely Michigan weather. So we really have quite an awesome staff as a whole that's providing this amazing service to our community. So thank you guys, everybody who's there. I know I'll be there tomorrow. That 8 a.m. seems so early to me now for some reason. I'm like, ooh, 8 a.m. I forget that I usually wake up at 6, right? But thank you. That is, and just to be clear, we are still required to follow school meal government guidelines. So we have to have a certain number of whole grains and fruits and vegetables and all that. So that's why it's such a challenge to find the right components to create these meals. We still have to take all those things into consideration. So thank you to your whole team, Sarah, and everybody who's helped out.
Does this end the last week of school? Yes.
Correct. Yep. All right. Did I get all of the cabinet members? I think I did. Oh, Pete.
Thank you.
Oh, you're still here.
I'm still here. I was going to mention Karen as well, and Sarah, and both of them have been amazing. And it's, the number, like everybody said, is amazing how many we did. Last week we did 9,604 total for the week, which is crazy.
Amazing.
Even while you're packing, things change while you're packing, because as you mentioned, Amy, you know, you have to have, you know, a certain number of each thing, and then by the time, you know, you might run out of something, so now you have to substitute this, and this counts as 2 of that, and I don't know how Karen keeps track of all that, but she just kind of gets everybody with a new normal, and we keep packing, and it's been a great process. But
she's so calm in that room. She's so calm in there. She just walks and she just kind of looks at everything like she's just taking an overview, and then she very quietly goes back and makes her calculated choices. I'm like, I don't know how she does it.
She's used to 2,000 a day.
Right.
So for her, this is a vacation.
I don't think she'd agree with that part.
No, I don't think. A couple other things I want to mention is, you know, we're going to have a decision probably early this week for graduation. It has been scheduled for the 28th of May with the stay-at-home order going through the 15th. I really highly doubt that things will be lax enough to be able to put 3,000 people together into convocations on the 28th. So we'll have to kick that down the road. We're going to select a new date. Dan Wright's been working with EMU on finding a new date with the Convocation Center. They're kind of a little leery about booking any dates because they don't know what's coming up either, but we can just tentatively throw a date out there. And long as we're able to, we'll take that date, looking the end of July, beginning of August probably. That'll be our new date with the idea then that gets canceled. Then we'll have to figure something out as far as a parade, smaller ceremonies at our football field, whether it's, you know, who knows. We'll have to figure something out other than that. That gives us a little bit of figure that out in August if we can't have it in person. Or
Now, if they,
put it together. Go ahead, Kelly.
if they get their graduation, are they going to be able to have their senior party afterwards, or will that just be?
We don't know
canceled?
that yet either. I don't know. We haven't knocked that around yet. I'm trying to think what that would look like in the summer, and
Right.
that's something the high school folks would talk about and figure out.
Right.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention was, if you probably all heard that the city on Monday, a week ago, at their city council meeting, voted to put up banners of pictures of our high school seniors downtown. So I know Ken Voigt contacted me. It's been maybe 3 weeks now or more, talking about that idea. We kind of knocked it around, changed it about 3 or 4 times, tried to figure out how to get more kids at once because they only had 42 polls. So now we can get 120 kids at once. We're going to change them 3 times or so to get to all our kids, which is amazing. BYC is donating all of the money for the banners. The Davenport brothers are donating the time to put them all up, which is amazing. So our people don't have to do it. The city doesn't have to do it. Because we were kind of talking about it could be a conjunction with our maintenance guys and the city people. We'd do that together. The Davenport brothers stepped up and said that they would put them all up and take them down each time. This is fantastic. We've been, the high school has been working on a document right now, collecting pictures, collecting permission, because we want to make sure the families give permission to do that. So that's an unusual thing for a school to have their picture represented downtown with their name on it. And just will have their first name. So it's looking great. It was a great thing that Ken brought up. Great idea, great thing for the city. A nice collaboration between us and them. So I think it's fantastic.
Awesome. Will they be able to keep the banner when it's done?
Yep.
Oh, how neat.
Yep.
I was thinking that if we did get to have a parade for them, they could put the banners up on big sticks and carry those with them so everybody can see their name and we can all be so proud of them.
There you go. Last thing is budget. I know that kind of came up a little bit here, talking about budget. We're expecting quite a hit from in our foundation allowance. School aid fund in Michigan is primarily funded with sales tax. Currently, there's not a lot of sales tax being gathered because nobody's buying anything except for food, which is pay sales tax for. So the school aid fund is way below where it should be right now. So there's estimates out there somewhere between $300 per kid to $1,000 per kid. That'd be like about, 1.2 to $4.5 million right there out of our budget. So either one of those numbers will come with layoffs. So we're working through that right now. We've, as I know information, I want to make sure I pass it on to the staff, to be fair. So I already sent that email to the staff saying this is possible, probable. The feds could come in, with a lot of money, I guess, and bail out the states. This is going to be every district in the state is going to be dealing with this because everybody's going to have a big cut. So other states, well, before 1994, we were property tax based, so the school aid fund probably wouldn't have been impacted as much if you were property tax based. So some states will probably have a bigger hit than others depending on how they're funded. But every district in Michigan will have this issue. So just trying to be transparent and putting information out there, so hopefully we can make some good decisions. Abdul and I have been on it. Abdul's been meeting with the principals, as he mentioned, to talk about staffing, look at student numbers. So we'll see how that shakes out as time goes on, but we'll keep you all informed on how that's looking and the timing of things as well.
I appreciate, and I know the rest of the board does, your transparency, and it's not always easy when we're in a time like this. People are anxious about being able to support their families. They're anxious about just keeping everybody healthy and safe. It's hard to put out information that's hard to hear at a time like this, but I think, you've always been very transparent with our community and with your staff, and I think that it's important that that continues, and that people know what's going on. So thank you for being forthcoming with that information, even though we don't have all of the information that's going to be used in that process yet.
I think it's particularly hard to hear right now too, because they've all been standing on their heads, learning how to do something new to educate the kids of our community. So they're going above and beyond, trying to figure this out and being, wonderful, sharing knowledge with each other as they figure stuff out. They've been trying new things. They've been, going down new paths they've never done before, and reaching out and communicating with parents and kids and doing a wonderful job of that. And in the midst of that, having to hand out that information, that's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Pete. Anything else? That's it from you? Okay. Items of business from members of the board. Mr. Johnston?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
No, I don't have anything right now. I guess I lost us somehow.
Oh, okay. Well, you're back now. Ms. Featheringill?
I wanted to echo what you said, Mrs. Pierce, about Mr. Kudlak, that sharing that information with us. It is important. The sooner we know that kind of information, the sooner we can make valid decisions. It's kind of like when we looked at the buses. That was one of the things that we looked at, is to make sure that we're doing that appropriately within the whole picture of everything that's happening. And if we don't know that kind of information, we might spend something, spend money on something that maybe isn't as crucial as having a teacher in place, because we had have a fund balance. And luckily we are a district that does have a little bit of a fund balance. Obviously those kind of cuts to our budget will eliminate that fund balance, and then we'll have to do something different. So it's good that we stay on top of those kind of things. And I do appreciate all the staff and everything that they're doing for us. So it is really nice.
Great. Ms. Pinter?
Well, I would hope we don't have to depend on the federal government with everything that's going on, for as far as our balance. Besides that, no, I just thank everybody for everything they're doing.
Ms. Garrick?
I miss y'all.
Yes. I just wanted to thank all the teachers and all the parents too. There's a lot of parents being very patient, learning new things. I think every level we've got right now has some kind of challenge, whether you have a child who needs your help with their book packets, or you have a high school that's trying to juggle 6 different teachers and coordinate all that and stay motivated, and then just the isolation and everything. So kudos to everybody for holding together. This, you see on Facebook, everybody praising each other. Ashley, and I don't know if I'm going to say her name right, Shukate, who does the carry, she just puts so many resources out there for everyone, and she's doing a wonderful job keeping everyone informed. So hats off to her.
Great. Ms. Owen?
No, I don't have anything. Just thank you to everybody for everything that you're doing. I mean, the school system is just chugging along, and that's because of everybody out there, all the administrators and the teachers and everything. So
Absolutely. If you could have predicted this, you would think, what on earth are we going to do? And somehow when you're just forced to do it, you figure it out and you just keep on chugging. So yeah. Mr. Hawkins?
I just want to second that. Good job with Pete and the leadership team, especially with a lot of transparency. I don't know what's going on, so I just want to second that. Hopefully we don't have to make tough decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say that as a parent, to all the other parents out there, don't be afraid to reach out to your students' teachers if what you think you should be doing as far as supporting your students' distance learning plan isn't working for you. I know I have a 7th grader at McBride, and she was really struggling with the idea of Zoom calls. And I reached out to all of her teachers and just said it's causing her a lot of anxiety. And we came up with other plans for her to be able to watch those Zoom calls later and get her work done in a separate way. I know in my house we do a subject a day because it works better for us that way. So do whatever you need to do to get through it. And I promise that what you're doing is good enough. So don't be too hard on yourselves, parents. That was kind of my message for today. And thank you to all the teachers who are being so adaptable and dealing with parents like me who call and say, I need a different format for my kid. Everybody's been so supportive. And they're probably at home trying to teach their own kids and teach our kids. So thank you to all the teachers out there. And parents, you're doing a great job, I promise. Anything else? Did I miss anyone? No, I think I got everyone. Okay, good. If you have any agenda items for the next meeting, then reach me or Pete or Debbie and let us know, and we'll get them on the agenda. I don't think we have any other questions to answer. So with that said, Ms. Garrick actually, sorry, we need a motion to adjourn first, and then we'll go to you. One of these days I'm going to get the adjournment right, I'm telling you.
I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Support.
Motion by Ms. Featheringill, support by Ms. Owen. Ms. Garrick, roll call.
Ms. Featheringill.
I vote yes.
Ms. Garrick, yes. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Owen?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce?
Yes.
Ms. Pinter?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.